Welcome to another inspiring episode of the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. Hosts Melanie Johnson and Jen Foster are the owners of Elite Online Publishing. They're both Wall Street Journal, USA Today best-selling authors. We're really glad you're here because this podcast was designed for you. Meet industry experts that share their secrets and strategies. Get successful results for your business in money, relationships, health, and your life. Each episode is going to inspire you to take action towards reaching your greatness.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming today. We're going to have such a great show. We have someone motivational, inspirational, and he's going to teach you this amazing formula to blow up your business. He's a speaker, entrepreneur, multi-8-figure business owner. He works with billionaires. Hello. So if you want to learn this formula and how you can apply it to any of your business, it works for any business, he tells me, in any stage that you're in, then you are in the right place. We have Preston Brown in the house today. Thanks, Preston, for joining us.
Oh my God, I love that introduction so much. Like, I'm excited to meet me right now.
Tell us how you developed this formula, how you got started in business, a little about your background and your journey.
Okay, I'm going to give you the fast version of the start and how I came about the formula, because it's normally an hour-long talk. But my start began when I was 7 years old. My dad, beautiful man, genius, member of Mensa, star football player, this big, broad-shouldered, powerful guy, right? Like, he decided to set himself free, open his own business, do the American dream thing. And we lived in this little trailer park in Canutillo, Texas. And my dad, metallurgical engineer, by trade, but not education. But he was brilliant. And so he went to work, working in this little shed next to our trailer with no air conditioning in El Paso, Texas, trying to have a heat stroke in hell. And we actually air conditioner to put in there, which probably not the best first business story, right? And he worked in there sometimes 6 a.m. to 7, 8, 9 p.m. every night. But my dad didn't know a few things. He didn't know fundamentals like what to charge for his work, what his time was worth. He didn't know bill. He didn't know how to collect people that weren't paying. And he didn't understand that a lot of business owners, especially new business owners, new entrepreneurs, which is who you cater to when you're the newest of them, they're not paying their bills until they absolutely have to because they're trying to stretch it to make ends meet. He worked. And my mom eventually lost her job. Things got scarce in this family where this was an abundance of love all the time. I'm 7 years old. I hear the first fight. And the first fight, and my mom is very passionate, that's where I get it, starts, at least from what I heard the beginning of, I'm sure there was more, with this cast iron frying pan, those really heavy ones flying across the room, lodges into the trailer wall, and she threw it fast enough, it actually stuck there for way too long, but probably like a second. So it should have fallen faster, right? And so it stuck there, clanks to the floor, and there was a lot of words said, but the only ones I heard was, a real man can feed his family. If you can't collect what you're owed, don't come back. And one thing beautiful about my mom is whatever she says, she does mean. And of course, here I am, 7 years old, I mean, maybe 8. I'm just scared. Like, my dad, my hero. And then I got to be the charity piece. We drove up to this house not too far from where I live now. And my dad's meeting this guy. He's like 6'4". This guy's 5'9". My dad could kill him with a napkin. And I know what's going to happen. My dad's going to go in there towering over this guy and demand what he's owed. But that's not how it happened. Demanding went from demanding to asking to groveling and begging. And I'm watching this 6'4" guy towering over this 5'9" guy, and I'm seeing signs that everybody can see that if you study body language, you know what depression looks like, right? Like, it starts out, your shoulders start slumping forward, your back starts not supporting you the way it did. I'm watching my hero cower to this guy that he could have killed with a napkin. And I'm understanding that the reason's money. And this guy was a savvy negotiator. And he gave my dad some money, but he gave him a fraction of what he was owed because he needed it right now. And I watched my dad compromise. And I watched my dad give up on his entrepreneurial dreams because he chose to stay my father and he chose to stay my mom's husband over the idea of having a business. And the significant part for me was it was the first time I'd ever experienced hatred. And I hated this man. If I'd had a gun as a 7-year-old, I'd have probably shot it. And from there, we drove down to the local Smith's, it's in Albertsons now, and we bought a box of ramen noodles. Like, you remember those big boxes? I can't eat that shit till this day. And it was the ramen noodles sitting on my lap, and I'm looking up at my dad, and he hasn't said much. I can't even get anything out of him. He's a man. He didn't talk much. But I'm watching like a tear drop down his face. The next morning, he went out, he got a job, and I found out that money was something important. And it shifted my life. It completely changed me. It made money the meaning of life until 2019, when I had already become fairly wealthy. I was probably worth $10-15 million. And my dad sat in his favorite chair, went to sleep, and didn't wake up. And that was another paradigm shift that was, wow, I didn't get enough time with him. Maybe money wasn't the meaning of life. So he compromised his dreams on money. First 35, 38 years of my life, I compromised my dreams on family. There's always a cost and there's always a price, but we don't have to pay it if we have true understanding and true intelligence. And if we think about understanding, the oceans are very wise in the way that they stand under the rivers, lakes, and streams. Everything seems to just flow into them. So their humbleness and humility and willingness to understand makes everything flow into them and makes them the greatest, largest bodies of water on earth that never have to compromise. And if you look at the root words of compromise, it's comping a promise. Well, which promise in your life are you compromising? And so that's how I got started in business. I became a corporate son of a bitch that probably made Donald Trump look like a really nice guy up until 2019, at which point I became this heart-centered hippie. But I became the heart-centered hippie that didn't hate money and didn't hate business and understood the value of it and said, you know, what if life was about faith, family, fitness, and finance? And different than holding up 4 fingers on your hand, they're different fingers, but they're tethered to one another. If you put a 50-pound weight on one finger, the hand's going to lower, and all of the 3 other fingers are lowering with it. How do we balance those things? That became my story. That became my journey. That became me. We're not just human beings, but also human becomings. If I'm coming to visit you, Melanie, I'm on a journey, and here we go. And so there's who you were, who you're going to be, who you are, and all this stuff. And it's fun.
I love how you talk about really that value of time. And a lot of entrepreneurs, we feel like we have to grind and hustle. And like you say, there's always something that's got to give, right? Something you're giving up, and just deciding, is it you're going to give that family time, or you're going to regret it? Is there a way to balance all that? Let's jump into this formula, because it sounds like some of this formula, like you hit that mark where maybe I can have everything. I can reset the priorities, get this formula going so I can blow my business up, but still have this fulfilled life and not feel like I'm having to sacrifice so much. So what are some of the first things that you would tell a business owner, entrepreneur?
Let's see. First things I would tell a business owner or entrepreneur. I'll just give you the first thing I would tell them. This is really easy. I would say you need to figure out what stage of business you're in, and then where you are getting guidance from. The most important thing you can do in a business is find which leader you're listening to. All of us crave leadership. All of us need mentorship. We need, it's not a want if you want to be successful, it's a need. And so a lot of people, they go out and they find the most inspirational and the most incredible social media oriented people, and they blindly follow them because they see the private jets. And even I did this at times, and I have 2 fucking planes, but I'll tell you what, that's not why you should follow me. That's not why you should look at me. It's not because I have planes. It's not because I can go pay for things cash. It's not because I own thousands of apartment units or have 18 companies. None of that is the reason. Like, the reason you should follow me is because I have the advice for you today. If I'm not the guy that has the advice for you today, say we're talking about some other subject I know nothing about. Say we're going to be like, hey, let's go into women's health. You know, I'm probably the wrong guy to follow. I know nothing about this. I have an opinion.
I was going to say menopause, but said women's health is a little more broad. Yeah.
I'm not your expert. But even in business, there's 7 phases of entrepreneurship, okay? And the first phase is what I call a entrepreneur. It's a person with a mindset. If you're the entrepreneur with a mindset issue and you're hearing the guy talking about buying airplanes, and that's a great way to not pay taxes and all this, you have no business buying airplanes. You have no business. He may be exciting or she may be exciting, but it's the wrong person to listen to. Like, after that phase, you got this startup phase. If you're in this startup phase where, guess what? There's not a lot of balance on your time. When you're starting up a business, it's like having a baby. You feed the baby when you want to feed the baby. You feed the baby when the baby's hungry, okay? And it's not convenient, okay? But that phase doesn't last forever. And the entrepreneur could definitely listen to the guy in the startup phase because he's going to help him get to startup. Or somebody that understands that. The startup phase should be listening to somebody either in startup phase that has succeeded, or what's called an operational entrepreneur. It's, hey, I'm through startup. I have a business. I have some customers that I've figured out. I've customized everything as a startup, and I need to probably stop customizing, figure out who my target customers are, really identify them, and then actually refine, not increase in size. That's what operational entrepreneur is effectively a slave to their business. They're running, going in all directions. They became successful by being exceptional. If the engine in your car made an exception even once, you would never get to the grocery store. So maybe we could go to optimal to get out of the operational entrepreneur and startup phase and go into what's called entrepreneur. But entrepreneur, you've bought all these softwares, you've got all these people, you've got all this stuff, and you have a new problem you've got to solve. Oh, I better go scale. And if you're in this entrepreneur phase, what did you really get? A pay cut. Because you're doing the same amount of business you were doing in the operational entrepreneur phase. And yeah, you have some money come in, you own an asset, but it's nowhere near the money that you had coming in when you were an operational entrepreneur and you didn't have all the people in the softwares that you now have to pay for. Mm-hmm. Oh, what do I have to scale? Everybody tries to scale everything at the same fucking time, and you can't do that. What if you wanted to scale margin? Maybe you should scale your sales first, then you scale your brand, then you can start scaling your margin. But then you better scale your people because you have to scale your capacity so that you can scale your sales again. And there's this cycle, and you can't do everything at once. After operational entrepreneur, there's entrepreneur. After entrepreneur, there's operational entrepreneur, and then there's investor philanthropist. Okay, and they all have different things you solve. You're solving the right problem at the right phase in your business. And if you're doing this, you're going to become wildly successful, and you can get there quickly. And no, there's no get rich quick scheme business in a year, or at least not very many. But everybody overestimates a year, and they wildly underestimate a decade. You can become a centimillionaire in a decade with the right company. You can become probably a decamillionaire in a decade with almost any type of business. You just have to know, what am I doing? How am I doing it? What's the problem I should be solving based on my phase? And then using the formula that I'm going to give you in a few seconds. And it's easy. Anyone can use it. It's literally like the simplest formula that works in every industry and every business. And if you're solving it in your phase, you're going to succeed. And then you get to that top level, which is this investor philanthropist level. Let's trigger people, shall we? Like, how many people here? Oh, there's the rich don't pay their fair share in taxes. No, they don't. You know why? Because in the investor philanthropist phase, there's all of these wonderful things you can do that are passed by Congress and in industries you can invest in. Like right now, solar and wind. We all want more solar. We all want more clean energy. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. You still want that. Oh, cleaner or dirtier. Nobody says dirty air is better, right? So we all want more of that. The government says, hey, we don't have enough money to invest in this. What if we got rich people to put some money in that? Let's give them a tax break. Oh, what if we built more multifamily because we're in a housing shortage? Let's give them a tax break. Oh, what if we? So there's all these things plus charity. You get write-offs to a certain point, and you become this investor philanthropist, and then you don't have to give the government money because you're helping the government meet its agenda ethically. And I don't care the narrative they use, but you have to understand how to do that. If you're going to go learn how to be the investor philanthropist from the person who's at operational megapreneur, and they may be doing a lot of business, and they're a slave to their business. And they're probably not paying much taxes either, but they've got a lot of expenses because they're growing. You can't learn how to be the investor philanthropist from the operational megapreneur. And the megapreneur has a problem called taxes. He found a new business partner. He's gotten to the top. He's, oh, shoot, what do I do? You got to find another place to grow. Anyway, sorry.
I love all that though. So finding out where you are in that, really that circle of entrepreneurial, and some of us get stuck, like they start making money. You can start making money right away, but if you haven't built the processes to go behind it, it's going to collapse. And same, it's like you feel like you're stuck at a certain, we're only making X amount of money. It's because, well, you don't have enough people to generate more sales and to do all that. Figuring out where you are, you really laid that out for us. And I love the tax thing because it's almost if someone told you to invest in a certain stock at a certain time, because you knew it was almost like that insider trading, you know that it's going to go up and you're going to make money. Everybody's okay with that, but they're not necessarily okay with saying, hey, if you invest in this, you're actually going to make money because you're not going to have to pay the taxes that it's already in there. So it's just built in, and knowing what that is and knowing how to figure that out. So take us through the formula. We're dying to hear the formula. So figure out your stages. And now what's the secret formula, Preston?
So the secret formula, and this formula came about, I've always been a nerd. And in my first business, which was home flipping, and I was buying and fixing beat up, destroyed homes, and I wanted a formula. And you can't build a formula for the process of construction in a home flip like you can in new construction. In new construction, hey, you know what? You do your roughs, you put your slab, you frame the house, you put your guts in the house, you put the sheetrock, the stucco, boom, you go through the process, you have a home completed, and everything starts at the same beginning, a pad of dirt. And I knew some home builders, and I knew that's what they did, but I was this home flipper, and every project I'd buy, I had to peel back layers like an onion. And I realized how inefficient this process was because there was so much investigation required that I could never do. Like I wanted to flip more homes than the builders built. And we actually got to where I was doing that. I think our best year, we found a formula for the business, but we couldn't ever build. And by the way, now one of my largest companies is home building. So I literally pivoted out of home flipping into home building because I wanted to formulate a business model with regenerative growth models as well. I still do some of the home flipping, but nowhere near as much. But I couldn't create a formula for the actual construction work. So I had to create a formula for the business itself. That business was so complex that it forced me to be like, okay, I need a formula to where I can investigate and problem solve faster. So the formula is literally a filter for solving problems. That's all it is. You take a problem and you drop it into the top of the formula. It filters down and you know exactly what to do. And it's so easy, Melanie. So as I built a formula for my home buying and fixing up and selling company, I eventually got really pissed off because I was keeping some as rentals, and I had a property manager charge me $800 to repair a toilet tank. And I was like, wait a minute, dude. A toilet's $60 at Lowe's at this point in time. It's more now. And I was like, so you're fired. And I went and I bought a part of a property management company. And then we applied the formula. We had to adapt it a little bit. And then I opened a real estate brokerage. We applied the formula. All of these companies within a year or two started becoming industry leading.
I love how they all were interrelated though. One business supported the other business, supported the other business. So yeah, you were your own customer for all the businesses. That's brilliant.
We are now vertically and horizontally integrated. I am my largest customer in most of my companies. However, we also don't need me in any of the companies and could be supported by the market. And so, which the formula alignment is a huge piece of the formula. We'll get to that in a minute. But it went on and on. I went to a title company and then a real estate brokerage. And as we grew, we kept adapting the formula. On the last 3 or 4 businesses I bought, there were no adaptations needed. Okay. And then I gave it away on social media. I put it on TikTok or whatever. And then TikTok blew up and I started putting it on Instagram. Instagram blew up. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And then I opened a coaching company. And my coaching company with my partner, Dean and Chuck, blew up to the point it went so fast with this formula that I triggered the Tony Robbins organization, which I had previously been a member of, and they came after me and started sending me letters with attorneys as if I was doing something wrong. I was like, we've done everything right. We're not doing anything wrong. And thank God we settled it, and that was weird. But when a former mentor got mad at me because I had a good formula, and we grew so fast that I think they thought maybe there was some malintent, I was like, it's just the formula, guys. It's just the formula. And we opened a coaching and travel company during COVID, which is what? The wrong time you should open a travel agency? Yeah. Oh my gosh. We blew up membership in 3 or 4 months. And if you can trigger the abundance guy, Tony Robbins, that's amazing. I'm so excited. And I love Tony, and everybody should go see Tony's stuff. He's incredible. But that was an indicator, oh shoot, the formula's working. And so here's the formula. Let me give it real simple. There's a litmus test. For something to work with this formula, because should you be using this formula to figure out your diet? No, this is a finance formula. It's a business formula, okay? Should you be using this formula to diagnose the knocking sound in your engine in your car? Probably not. Not going to work for it. So there's a litmus test like anything else, okay? And this is where we found the success of the formula, the failure of the formula. If it doesn't pass the litmus test is really simple, okay? 1, it must be productive for it to use this formula. 2, it must be profitable, or in the case of a startup business that is not profitable yet, sometimes you're not profitable yet, you must have a map and a trajectory where you can measure what you're looking to go to profit. So in other words, measurable profitability. Okay, we may start losing $5,000 a month, we're going to lose $3,000 a month by month 3, and then $1,000 a month by month 6, and then we're going to be losing nothing by month 9, and we're going to be in the black by month 12, and then we're going to be up here, whatever it is, right? And so there has to be measurable profitability. So we have productivity, profitability, and the last one, and probably the most important, it must align with your purpose, okay? People cannot get into business to make money, okay? You can make money doing anything. I don't care what you do to make money. Anything can make you money. Money's easy. Making money is easy. Getting rich is easy. If that triggers anybody, message me on social media and I will prove you wrong. And it might be one of the best things that's ever happened. But if it aligns with your purpose and it aligns with, say, anybody who goes out and becomes this beautiful giver, they had a wound that they healed. And then they generally go out and help other people heal that wound. So what is a sale? A sale is a solution to somebody else's problem. So when your purpose aligns with solving the problem, you don't have to worry about making money. You love the process. And so purpose is critical. Productivity is critical. Profitability metrics are critical. Those are the 3 parts of the litmus test. 3 P's, 3 simple P's. Now, let's see what happens when we remove one of each, because it's just fun, right? What if we remove purpose? If this does not align to your interest, it's an investment. I own thousands of apartment units. I could give 2 shits about them. Melanie, I just don't care. I invested money. If I lose the money, I'll be a little sad that I lost the money, but you know what I don't want to do? If they're mismanaged, I would rather lose the money than go manage the apartment communities. Isn't that weird? So you remove purpose and it's an investment. What happens if you remove profitability? I know a lot of people that like golf. For Tiger Woods, it can be a business. For you, it's a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for most people, it's a hobby. You remove profitability, it's a hobby. Okay, so what happens if we remove that third one? What happens if we remove productivity? And if you're on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, you get a lot of these guys all the time. You're a con man. You're selling something that isn't real. If there's no productivity that can be measured and there's, probably a con. You still have a sales pitch, you still have a purpose, but your purpose is nefarious. So you cannot use this formula for any of those 3. And if it doesn't have those 3 things included, the formula won't work. It will fail miserably. And so now, once we've passed the formula, let's say, oh, you know what? I want to monetize this podcast that we're on. You could do that, okay? It would follow the formula. Now, it might start as a hobby, and many things that turn into businesses do start as hobbies. There's nothing wrong with that. But then you find that niche where you're like, I'm going to monetize it. I'm going to make this make millions of dollars like Joe Rogan or whatever, like Brad Lee or somebody like that. Hey, great. Now we need to get into the actual formula beyond the litmus test. And every business, this is going to be so easy. People won't believe it because it's so easy. Every business has 3 goals, right? The first goal I'm going to talk about is foresight. We need to know what's coming, okay? And foresight, there's 3 goals for a small business and 4 goals for a big business, okay? The foresight gets compounded into forecasting once you get over 25 million in revenue, okay? If you're doing 25 million in revenue and you're only doing foresight's like when you're driving your car and you're looking out the front window, yeah, you're going to swerve if you see something that's in the way, right? Forecasting is like, hey, man, I better get a GPS. I better get a map. I want to know what roadways look like. Some of these GPSs are so sophisticated that they'll help me avoid traffic jams and all this. And we can talk economics right now. And I could give your group some economic pointers that might make them a few $1 million in the next year or 2. Because recessions are really good times to make money. So good. Do you know what a recession is, by the way?
The definition? So give me your definition of a recession.
It's when capital returns to the rightful owners. And all you have to do to be the rightful owner is have the information we're about to give you, because the best thing you can do in a recession is open a business. Recession is the single greatest time on earth because it's when everybody starts complaining and giving feedback. Feedback is what every business needs. If you're in a relationship with a person, what do you need from them? Feedback. Why? Because you can make their life better. They can make yours better. People don't give feedback when everything's good. When everything's bad, they give feedback. You find new ways to innovate, new ways to solve problems. It's like the best time on earth. Yeah. And with the information you're going to get today, you can literally become the rightful owner of capital, and you can get the feedback, create something, and small business turns into big business. It is the single greatest opportunity for real wealth. And we are in the greatest wealth opportunity around business that has ever transpired in history today. So let's go back to the goals. Sorry, I get distracted.
So we did foresight, forecasting, the GPS, long range, short range.
And that is a very exceptional energy, okay? What gets people into business is an exceptional energy. You must be exceptional. You might have a job doing something, you're like, man, my boss is an idiot. I could go do this better on my own. And then you do. You had the foresight to do that, right? So In a small business with just the 3 goals, let's pretend I didn't even give you the 4th, but I did, okay? Foresight is the first one you need. It gets you in. Once you're in, you're starting to see, okay, if I want to be more than just a salesman, if I want my business to be a team sport, not a spectator sport where I'm an individual alone, just me, then I better not just have exceptional energy, because the engine in my car would explode if it made one exception, right? So I better add some optimization energy. How do I do that? That's where you add what I call the twin sisters of optimization: alignment and simplicity. Your customers want their problem solved. They want you to sell them a product. They do. They want you to sell them a product, but they want path of least resistance. And here's an example I'll give you. Say there were 2 bottles of water. They were both the same size. They both had the same specs. They had the same alkalinity, same size, everything else. And I had one over here for $1 at the gas station. And then there was another one for, let's say, $10. The one you're interested, if you're thirsty and they have the same specs, in all probability, especially if you don't know either brand, is the $1 one, right? Okay, what if I said, hey, Melanie, great, that $1 bottle of water is fine, but I'm going to need you to fill out this 32-page form, and we're going to need a blood sample before you get it. You're going to buy the $5 bottle of water. So path of least resistance and less hoops you're jumping through is super important to your customer. But then there's this other thing called alignment, and you need to align your business to your lenders, your vendors, your trades, your customers, your subcontractors, your employers, or your employees. Everyone needs alignment. And you know what? It's not creating this alignment. It's not simple. It's not simple creating alignments. So you have this optimization energy where, yes, I need to create simplicity for my customers. Who are my customers? I would submit that anyone you have a financial transaction with is a customer. That means your employees are your customers in a different way. You give them money, they give you service. It's almost like you're their customer, huh? If they didn't do their work, we don't fire employees. It's so bad for culture. Yeah, wrong. You bought a TV and it didn't work. Would you return it? Yes, of course. Right. It's not a question. But with customers, or with the employee customer, which we have a financial relationship with, and there's a very different way we create culture there. It's not the same as the customer that's paying our company. So to create an alignment where your employee has one process and your customer has another process that's aligned, synchronized, like cogs in a machine. The gears need to touch. It's not simple necessarily to create, but that's where the business owner really comes in and makes magic. You build a machine that honors the lender, that honors the vendor, that honors the customer, that honors the owner. Everybody needs to be receiving what they truly want, which is simple.
Yeah.
Certainty of success.
All right, we're going to have to do a speed dial on the next part of the formula because we're getting close to our time. So give me the rest of it.
Awesome. So when you have the 3 goals, there's 4 things you measure. Okay. And no different than the faith, family, fitness, finance earlier, this is culture, clarity, capacity, cash. Now I'm going to give you simple pieces, even though there's a full day training on each one of these. Culture. What's the first 4 letters in culture spell?
Cult.
What's a cult? A cult is an organization of people that has a similar belief and a similar problem they solve. We all know about the bad ones, but your business is a good one. And culture is not about people being happy. It's about behavior moderation. And how do you create it? There's 5 foundations of culture. We can go into that in another day, and a bunch of other. Clarity, okay? Clarity. This is transparency. This is communicating. This is making sure that people have understanding of where they need to be, what they need to do. And it's really creating brands. And do you know what a brand is? It's when your culture is so good inside of your business that it expounds outwards. And that clarity creates the possibility for your internal culture to become an external culture, which is what people call a brand. Okay? Then there's this thing called capacity. Capacity is fascinating. Capacity is incredible. There's 4 flows. Lead flow, are people interested? Okay? Sales flow, can you sell to people that are interested and communicate your value proposition? Deal flow, can you deliver on what you sold? Because you made a promise. How good your brand is, you can't deliver on your promise, you're screwed. And then cash flow, 4 flows. And then when we get to cash flow, that's the last C, it's cash. Everybody talks about ROI, return on investment. If you invested $100,000 to build your business and you got 100,000 back, it's infinite. You're BSing yourself. You're literally stroking your own ego. What if we looked at return on marketing and figured out the cost of customer acquisition? Oh, so there's something other than ROI, or maybe that ROI turns into? Yes. What about ROB, return on balance sheet equity? What about ROD, return on debt? If these two are equal, you are scaling at the perfect trajectory in your industry. Okay. What about return on energy? What about return on time? Oh, wow. So there's 6 returns and you need to look at the best one. Here's where this formula is awesome. And I'm literally done with the formula after this. So simple. There's only 6 things you can adjust in a business, Melanie. There's 6, just 6. It's so easy. My wife, probably many women out there, if I go into their makeup drawer, there's 150 dials that they can use. My wife can use different mascaras, different blushes, different lip glosses, all these things. And if she told me to go get one, that's complicated. Complexity is seductive, not productive. Productivity gets you paid. Seductivity gets you fucked. So I wanted less things, less dials to adjust. And so in business, there's 6. It was amazing. You can change price, product, people, place, promotion, or process. Let me say it one more time. Price, product, people, place, promotion, or process. So as you take a problem and you dump it into the formula, it does a path litmus test. Which one of the goals do we need to be looking at? Which one of the 4 C's do we need to be adjusting? Or is there multiple? Sometimes there's multiple. Bless you. And then, should we adjust this or some combination of the 2 or the 6? Like, what do we do? And if you use that formula articulately in the stage of business you're in and you solve the proper stages quickly, I'll give you an example. I bought a failing home building company 4 years ago. That company did $120 million in revenue this year. Wow. This year, 4 years ago. And let me just say, if I told you my profits, a lot of people would say the rich don't pay their fair share. Or maybe they'd say I'm lucky, but I'm not lucky. It's a system. It's a science. It's a simple process that every entrepreneur can use.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Preston, for sharing all that today. I was taking notes like crazy. So if you weren't taking notes during this, you need to rewatch the podcast, write down the notes because he talked fast. There was so much valuable information. And I'm going to encourage you to write a book because I don't think that you have a book about this, but holy cow, there's so much content. Do you have a book? You look like you're grabbing one right now.
In the process, manuscripts right here. And working on it. I'm trying to figure out the process of books. I haven't learned the formula for that. Maybe we should talk.
I can teach you that. That's what we're experts in. So look for his upcoming book. Where do people find you, Preston? What's the best place to get more information on you?
So the best place is probably the Preston Brown online. And we've got a website. It's also the same thing on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of that. And I put all of my content out. I do it all for free. I want to make sure that everybody has access to this because, if somebody has these tools, they can use them. Success should not be limited. If you want to work out, you can go outside and run, and God's open air gym is free. There's no risk. There's no work. Now, you're looking for mentorship or something like that. We do that as well. And you can go to my website and you can register. And we have some affordable options and some high level options. But honestly, 90%, 99% is just published. TikTok, Instagram, go get it, use it, become rich, become wild, become free, because it's easy.
Once you know the formula, like everything in life, once you know the shortcuts, it makes it so much simpler. Thanks for coming today. We'll have all those links in the notes. So check Preston out. Preston Brown, thank you so much. And if you're looking to become an author, best-selling author, we guarantee it here at Elite Online Publishing. Contact us, go to the author submission form on our website. We'll see you next time. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye. Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.